So okay, if you don't have a question, let me actually. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick some of the uh, coding example and just basically discuss these examples in a in a class today. So as I said, I'm gonna slow down and try to resolve some of the issues. Let me actually do this. Let's actually take a look at the Zai book. Um, let's see which section I want to talk about. Okay, so let me actually first talk about one of the examples in the lab. Actually, the lab work 1.16. Okay, I just the 1.16. Okay, now have you actually done this, or do you have any problem with this lab work?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Okay.
All right. Let me show you if I'm allowed to share my screen at the moment. Okay, let me go to. Let me just get to the lab first.
Okay. Now let me do this. You can discuss with me on other time, but let me actually discuss with the
Yeah.
problem. Okay. So
Okay. Yeah.
okay. So for this problem, it's basically the just talk about first import format and import and formatted output. The problem itself is not that difficult. So let me see. Okay, 1.6. So okay. Okay. So so write a program with two imports. One is current price, the other one is last month price. So now, typically in the lab, they already provide you some part of the code. So for example, they declare two variable, current price and last month price, and they actually create the scanner. So allows you to import a value and assign the first value to current price, assign the second value to the last month price. So you have two actually scanner problem. So which basically going to scan the first value and the second value. So the first value, 200,000, going to be assigned to current price. Okay, to current price. The second value, 210,000, assigned to the last month price. Okay, so this is done. Now the question, the problem is, then output the summary listing price. So this is actually they want you to create. Okay, so the house is 200,000. That's the price, the current price. Now, because last month the price was 10,000 more, so that's why the price actually just dropped. They just dropped 10,000. So that's why the second actually value they want you to output is the difference. The difference is minus 10,000 because they dropped the value. Okay, since last month. And then the estimated monthly mortgage is 850. Now, you don't have to do the mortgage part because they already provide you the formula for this. That's the formula you're going to use. Okay. So to solve this problem, you can have various different approach. Now, in my approach, I use this. I just do the system.output print line. So you basically print this line using one print statement. So this house is space $sign. So basically, this is the string I want to print out. So this house is a $sign. And then the next one is the value, 200,000. So that's the current price. So this house is blah, blah, blah. This is the current value. Okay. And then the next one is you print this string. Okay. So this is actually the string I just put in there. The change is, okay. And then that's the difference. The difference I just put in here. Okay. So the current price minus the last month price. That's the price change. So the change is, in this case, it's a 200,000 minus 210,000. And since last month. Okay. And then this is the first statement, print statement. The second one is that the estimated monthly mortgage is, that's the string you need to actually print. Okay. And then you're going to actually concatenate with the value, which is current price times .0.51 divided by 12. That's basically provided here. So you just put this value in there. So when you run this and the enter program import, then you just put this to value, and then you print out this. Okay. Now there's alternative. You can use print statement. Okay, and actually split these a very long, very long statement into one, into a couple of actually statements. Say you can print this, for example, you can print this statement first. Okay, use the print, because the printer actually not going to actually change the line. So you can say print, you're going to print this house is space $sign, then the cursor actually waited after the $sign. It's not going to actually turn to the next line. So then you can actually say type a next print statement, okay, dot out dot print, and you use print. Okay, now this time you can print just the current price. Okay. So then the current price is going to be printed right after the $sign, because you use print. You don't use the print line, because every time when you use the print line, after the finish the line, you're going to actually change to a new line. Okay. Okay, so the next one going to be system.out print. Okay. Again, another print statement. Okay. Okay. Okay, could you actually please mute yourself, because I can hear your sound.
You can hear my ventilation.
Yeah.
My bad.
So and then now this is actually since the last month is the last string, is the last string in the first line. So after since the last month, you're going to change a line. So that's the reason why you need to put the println in, because after this, since the last month, you're going to change to a new line. Okay, and then this is also going to work. It's basically going to be the same as just one, okay, printer statement. Okay, so this basically just practice. It's kind of practice, and so you can do it to actually manipulate the output of the result. And also you can split the second print line, the estimated monthly mortgage is, you can split this into two printer statement using the print instead of print ln. So that's basically the what this lab is supposed to do. Okay. Is there any questions on this? Okay. So just feel free to interrupt me if you have your own question. So otherwise, today I'm gonna pick some of the questions so you can we can actually work together on these actual lab questions. So the next one I want to do is the lab 2.25. 2.25. Let's see. Where's 2.25? Okay. Divide import integers. Okay. This is a so write a program using integers. One is user number, the other one's div, divide number, as an input, and the output use number divided by div number use number divided by div number 3 times. Okay, so that means that's the user number, that's the div number. Okay, so the output is going to be, the first output is 1000, which is 2000 divided by 2. Okay, now the second output is 500, which is 1000 divided by 2. And the third output is 500 divided by 2. Okay, if you actually do 4 times, then the next one going to be 500, 250 divided by 2. So you basically, every time when you actually output the number actually shrink by half. Okay, now you want to do this. Okay, you want to do the division. And then just remember, in Java, the division is kind of tricky, because if you have 2 integer number and you divide one integer by the other number, then the result is still going to be integer. Okay, that's very tricky, because if you actually divide like a number 7 by 2, so 7 divided by 2, the result should be 3.5, right? However, since 7 is an integer, 2 is an integer, so Java actually eventually going to actually, put an integer as a result. So 7 divided by 2 will get the 3.5, but 3.5 will be converted to integer. Okay, so which will be 3. That's basically Java's way of doing the job. Okay, so now this actually this exercise basically asks you to say, okay, I have a 2 input, user num and a div num. It's it's basically the divisor number. So you divide actually the user num by div num 3 times. Okay, so you can do this. Now again, this code, you can actually use a couple of ways. You can use a loop, but since section chapter 2 is actually, you haven't actually start the loop yet. So basically what you do is, okay, so you want to actually output as division. Okay, so first one is the import user num divided by 2, which is the second input value. So I'm gonna say user equals divided by, so you're gonna do system dot out dot print ln. Just print no ln because you're gonna print everything in one line. Okay, so okay, so you're gonna actually print the username and concatenate with a string, which is empty space. So that means you're gonna print the value, and then you're gonna actually next print a space, a string, which is a space. So this is gonna basically, so if the username is 2000, so this is 2000, and div is 2, then you're gonna have a 2000 divided by 2, which is 1000, and assigned to username. So the username actually gonna be 1000. So you're gonna print a 1000. Okay. And now, if you want to do the next one, so you can basically do the same thing, right? You can basically do the same thing. You can basically do the same thing, because each time when you actually divide the username divided by div number, the div number is always 2, but the username has been changed, because every time when you do this, you username divided by 2 assigned to the username, so you actually shrink the username by half. Okay, so you basically want to do this 3 times, like based on this instruction. So let's see what's the result. Oh, that's good. That's okay. You know, you always expect to have an error message. Okay, let me see. Lab program Java error class interface. What is the problem? Oh, I don't know why this additional brace is actually in there. So let's just run it. Okay, so now you got a 1525. Now if I copy it again, okay, now what's the next value? It's 125, right? So, but yeah, 125. But this, you know, the problem just asks you to actually print it 3 times. Okay. Now, this is a typical example. So you basically print, you just execute the same statement 3 times. Now this is a very good example for using loop, right? If you use the loop, then you can save a lot of time with that. Correct? You can save a lot of time with that. So you can actually do loop or loop. So then you're going to say I equals 0. If you got a 3 times, you're going to say I less than 3 and plus I. I want to do the indentation here. So I just eliminate the other for loop. So when I equals 0 and the 0 is less than 3, so you can actually print this one out. You can do the assignment, divide this username by div name, and then assign to username and print the username. And then go back when I equals 1. So you're going to do the same thing. So this is going to give you the same result. Okay. So this is a typical example for using the for loop. And that's why we talk about when someone asks me, when you do the loop, which loop is better, while loop or for loop? Can you answer me that question? The while loop is better or for loop is better? No answers?
I have an answer, Professor.
Yes.
If you know how many times you want it to loop, use a for loop. Otherwise, use a while loop.
Okay. Yeah, the while loop is the loop that you typically, you don't know how many iterations you're going to do. Okay. How many actually things you're going to repeat. So in that case, you use the while loop, because in while loop, let me actually show you what I have. Okay, let me actually just do this display setting. So I want to extend. Okay. Okay, so let's see. So in a while loop, if you use a while loop, so it's basically let me see what I. Okay. Okay. So if you use while loop, this is bad. So it looks like I got some problem with this. Let me actually do this. Just hold on. Okay. Okay, let me, can you still see the screen here?
Yes, we see Zybooks.
Okay, so let me actually change the present. I just the entire screen. Let me do this. Okay, so let's see. Now, if we use the while loop, so here, okay, so if we use while loop, now here's a condition. So then there's a body, the while loop body, and you can say, you can have a lot of statements. So let's say the loop is the conditions here. Okay, now, so then you can say like x equals y plus 2 and z equals y minus 2 or whatever, and then somehow you need to change the condition. over here. So then you, because if the condition is true, then you're going to execute all these statements, and then including the statement that change the condition. Then you're going to go back and check the condition again. And if it's still true, you're going to execute this again. So until the condition is no longer true, then you just basically quit the while loop and go to the next one. So that basically says that if you use the while loop, okay, then you don't know how many loop you're going to actually perform, because it depends on how you change the condition. Okay, let me check this for example here. So let's go back this again. Stop presenting, and I'm gonna present in this one. Okay. So that basically says if I use the while loop, and then now just go back to this screen again. So if I say integer int I, I'm gonna say initially the value of I is 0 or is 1. So I'm gonna say while I is less than 12. That's a condition. So now, which is actually true, because initial value of I is 1. So 1 is less than 12. So then I'm going to definitely execute the statement inside the while loop. So I'm going to say system.out.print ln. I'm going to say, yeah, the value is still less than 12, right? Okay. And then if I don't change the value of I, don't change the condition. Now, if I run this, you will find out it's a nightmare, because this is never going to stop. Because once you actually say I equals 1 and I less than 12, and then this condition is true, then you're going to print this statement. That's fine. Okay. But then when I come back, I is still 1. So 1 is less than 12. So the condition is always true. So you're going to see if you don't stop it, then you're going to always execute this. So I have to manually stop it. Okay. So now what you do is you're going to change so you're going to increment the value of I. So I equals I plus 1. Or I can simply say I plus plus. Okay. So then if you click on the run, because each time when you do the while loop, so you're going to actually, print the statement. The value I is still less than 12. And then you increment the value of I, because initially I equals 1, then I becomes 2, becomes 3, becomes 4. And after a couple of times, then the value of I is no longer less than 12. So then you quit the while loop. And also the number of iteration is depend on how you're going to change the condition. So if I'm going to say I equals I plus 4, okay, then you will find out the number of loops are going to be smaller, going to be fewer, because I is the one, the second, once the loop is executed, the value of I changed from 1 to 5, which is still less than 12. And then next one, 5 plus 4, which is 9, still less than 12. But then 9 plus 4 is 13, which is great. So you don't actually execute so many loops. The loop will actually quickly stop. So you don't know how many loops you're going to actually do, because depend on how you're going to change the condition. The for loop is different. For loop is actually basically, you're going to say I equals 0 or I equals 1. Okay, then I is less than 4. Then I can say I plus plus, right? Then you can actually do this basically. So in this case, the for loop, basically this for loop and this, okay, these two actually are basically the same. Okay, basically the same, because now in the while loop you have to change the condition in the body, but the for loop you change the condition over here. Okay, over here. So in this case, mostly because if you actually increment by I, then you know exactly how many times you're going to do the for loop. So for loop is actually best for, you know, the case that you know exactly how many. But not actually you can also use the for loop just like a while loop. For example, if you actually increment I by 4, and then initial values I is 1, and the condition is I less than 12, and the increment that is I equals I plus 4, you can do the same thing here. And it's basically do the same thing. You know, this for loop and I loop are going to be the same. So basically, I loop and the for loop are basically the same thing. But the for loop is a kind of special case for the while loop. And the while loop are going to cover more cases. In this case, while loop and the for loop are the same. So let's say, when I say now, now the for loop. Okay, so now let's just run it. So you see, both the for loop and I loop, while loop are going to do the same thing. However, the while loop has some kind of advantage. Okay. So, for example, if I have another statement, say, let's say, and I define a string, and a string, a string, I declare a string, okay. Okay. So then I use a scanner. If I use a scanner, so that means the import is going to be imported from the prompt, from the user actually import. You know, user going to type the import. In that case, the import is not predictable. Okay. Now, in this case, while loop is the better choice, and sometimes it's probably the only choice. You cannot use the for loop because for loop is, yeah, you can also use the for loop, but you cannot use the for loop only. You have to combine the for loop with if statement. Okay. So for example, scanner system in. Okay. So then what I'm gonna do is let's see. Okay. Oh, yeah, I import a scanner. That's fine. New scanner system. I think it's correct. And why it still give me this? And then I'm gonna say a string equals so if I'm gonna say a string Now, if a string is by, I'm gonna go in there. So I'm gonna print out. Okay. A string is not equal to by, then I'm gonna print the a string. Okay. Once I actually print the a string out, then I'm gonna actually import a string again inside the body of while loop. Okay. So then I'm gonna see CNR scanner next. Okay, import another value and then check this value whether it's by or not. If it's not a by, then that means if this is true, then I'm gonna print the a string again until I put a by. If a string is by, so I actually import a by, then by not equal to by, that's false, then I quit the while loop. Okay, so this is a while loop. So then I can do this. Let's check. Okay, run this. Okay, so I type a string, say Brady. Okay. Well, that's my import. That's a printout statement. That's this, right? So if you want to see the difference, and you can say you import the you import the string. Okay, let me actually quit this. So then I just run it again. Okay, I type Brady. We import the string Brady. Okay. So I'm gonna say John. We import the string John. Okay, and then if I import by, you import if I import string by, I supposed to quit the while loop. Why is still in the while? Oh, let's see. I should use equal. When I compare two of this, I should use equal. So whether a string equals by. Now, and I put the factorial means not equal to by. Okay. So then let's see. Oh, I missed the parentheses. There's a 1, 2, and a 1 I missed. It's not paired. So let's see. That's typical. When you do the coding, you always see the compiler error. So say Brady, you input the string Brady, and John, and you input the string John by. Now I quit the while loop, and I jump to the next one. So you import string John. So basically, it's just so I'm gonna say you quit the while loop. Oh, you quit the while loop and now the for loop. So now in that case, I believe the for loop is probably the, while loop is probably the best way you can implement, because you never know what's the next import. So you never know whether the next condition will be true or false. So then you're going to keep checking the while loop. But the for loop, you have to set the condition, set this. So it looks like if it's a fixed size, then the for loop is actually. So for anything any loop which is predictable, use the for loop. Anything which is not predictable, use the while loop. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so let's check this, and then we can, this is actually predictable because they want you to actually, do the division 3 times. 3 times it's very predictable. So you can use the for loop for 3. So that's fine. But if you actually decide to just repeat this manually, you can just type the same things 3 times. No, that's okay. Copy paste, copy paste. But if you actually ask you to repeat this 100 times, then you need to copy paste the 100 times, and your code is going to be extremely long, so which is pretty bad. But if you want to do the 100 times using for loop, you still actually use 3 lines, but then you only change the condition. Right? That's the advantage of using the loop. Okay. Now this is another thing. So if you have any question, just interrupt me, so I can stop and I can try to explain any questions you might have. Next one, let's see what should I do with next one. I can try at 230 2.3. Okay, 2.31. Okay. You guys any problem with this, or you want me to work on something else?
You can move on.
Okay. So I just randomly pick some of the lab, and so I can just explain how we can actually code this particular problem. So far we haven't talked about much of the format. So they provide you the format. So give 4 values, okay, representing counts of quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies. Okay, so they provided for, and output the total amount as dollars and cents. Okay, so this is actually a very good example that you can actually manipulate the numbers out there. So for example, if you import the value is 4, 3, 2, 1. So you're going to put the 4 quarter, 2 dimes, 3 dimes, 2 nickels, and 1 penny. So what is the total amount? Now 4 quarters, that's $1, and 3 dimes, that's 30 cents, and 2 nickels, that's 10 cents. Okay, and 1 penny, that's 1 cent. So $1, 30 plus 10, that's 40, 41. So 4.41, $1.41. Okay. So the formula going to be very, very straightforward. So what I'm going to do is, in order to do the coding, so you need to declare 4 integer, right? Int, quotes, quarters, dimes, nickels, pennies, and then you can actually, so that these quarters, dimes, nickels, pennies, these actually show as integer because that's basically the number of quarters. It's not actually the quarters, the value. So that means the number of quarters is this. Okay. Now, if you feel like this identifier is so unclear, then you can say number of quarters. Okay. And you can say number of die, number of nickels, number of pennies, okay, and then dollar amount, because dollar going to be actually represented as floating point number, so I use double. Okay, so then I'm going to import the first value. You import 4 values, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can just import 4 values. So you can actually write this scanner import next into 4 times. So the first one going to import the first value, and the second one going to import the second value. And this first one going to be actually assigned to the number of quarters, and the second one going to assign to the number of dies, number of nickels, number of pennies. Okay, so you can actually, so each value going to be assigned to these 4 values, going to be assigned to these 4 variables. Okay, so then I'm going to calculate the dollar amount, right? So the dollar amount is very easy to calculate. So because the quarters, oh, it should be a num. Now I use num quarters. Okay, the number of quarters times 0.25. That's the amount of dollars. Okay, $0.25. That's 1 quarter. And then you have 4 quarters, so that's 4 times this. And the dimes, that's 0.10. That's 10 cents. Okay. Nickels, of nickels, and the number of pennies. Nickels is actually 5 cents. That's 1 cent. Okay, so you got a dollar amount. But when you print out the dollar, the value of dollar, so you have to use this format. Okay, this format basically say you're going to print out the amount, which is $sign. Okay, now if I don't use that format, if I just simply just print the dollar amount, okay, I add something, but if I don't use printf, ln, so now you're going to see that the print out the value is, it's kind of funny. It's very interesting, you know. You will see this. So you're going to see amount is 1.4100000001. That's not the dollar amount, because when you use the dollar amount, you can actually, you should have to truncate to the 2 digits after the decimal point, because you know this means as a cent, but after this there's no half cent, there's no points, 3 cents, there's no such a thing. That's the reason why you need to use this it's printf. It's called a formatted print. Okay, when you use the printf, then you use print the dollar amount, and the next one you're going to print is dollar amount. After the $sign, you're going to print the value dollar. But after $sign, you need to format this print out value. The format you're going to use a percent, okay, a percent sign. Then if we use 0.2, that means I can actually print out 2 digits after the decimal point. And F, that means it's a formatted. The next one, \n, that's basically means change the line, because now you are not going to use the print ln, because print ln, they're going to be you printed the output and then you change to a new line. But now you use printf. So if you want to change a new line, you use that, you use something called escape. Use the escape sequence. So \n, that means you change to new line. Okay. And then instead of a concatenate, you use comma. So that means in this position, %.2f, you're going to replace with the dollar with that format. Or you only print, two decimal, 2 digitals after a decimal point. Yeah, that's the one you want to print out. Now, if you want to print actually 3 digitals after decimal point or 4 digitals after decimal point, then you need to put the 0.4, and then you can see 4100. You actually see 4 decimal point, but that's not the purpose for this example, because we only want to print out dollar amount. Okay, so that's why we only keep 2 decimal point, 2 digitals after decimal point. So that's basically this is the answer for that. Do you have any questions?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, I think that's pretty much all I want to talk about. So I just want to let you know that so I'm going to give you more times. I'm going to actually spend 1 more week for the module 1. So I'm going to spend 1 more weeks for chapter 3 and 4. And please actually do the exercises and also the lab work. And if you have any questions, and please actually ask me, even during the weekend. So you can still actually send me an email, or just let me know. So what kind of problem you have, then I can actually definitely answer the questions you might have. So I'm gonna extend the due date for the actual work, the lab, and also the assignment 1C and 1D. So you're gonna have more times to work on this. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's pretty much all for today.
See ya.